You ever see a bank manager call the cops on a 14-year-old girl while she's holding a color-coded binder in a blazer 2 sizes too big with her whole business life in that one folder? Yeah, that happened. But what made every mouth in that room fall open was who walked through those double glass doors next. Let me back up a sec. It was supposed to be just another Tuesday for Leona Brooks, 14 years old, top of her class, and the kind of kid who makes adults feel simultaneously impressed and ashamed they didn't do more with their own teenage years. She wasn't going to the mall or scrolling TikTok on her day off. Nope. Leona was going to open her very first savings account. And not just any account. She'd done the research. Cross-compared interest rates, read the fine print, checked every fee structure. She could probably explain compound interest better than the bank manager himself. Her tutoring business, math, stats, calculus, had been running 2 years strong online. She'd racked up $2,478.09. Every dollar earned, every hour worked, every transaction recorded. She had it all in her binder. Meticulously labeled tabs, printed ledgers, even screenshots of client reviews. The girl was ready. So when she walked through the glossy doors of Bellington Trust, a downtown bank with more marble than warmth, she stood tall, smoothed her thrift store blazer, and stepped inside like she belonged there. But the moment her skin tone entered the equation, everything changed. The receptionist gave her that smile, you know the one. Thin-lipped, eyebrows slightly arched, like she was trying to figure out whether you were lost or just bold. Leona smiled anyway. Hi, I'm here to open a youth savings account. I've already reviewed the program on your website. The receptionist blinked. Do you have an appointment? No, Leona said, but I read the terms and it said walk-ins are welcome between 10 and 2 with proper documentation. Another pause, then a sigh. No. Let me see if someone can speak with you. She made a call, loudly, and said into the phone, There's a girl here, says she wants to open an account, alone. She didn't even try to whisper the suspicion. Enter, Gregory Marsh, branch manager, mid-50s, salt and pepper hair, tie so tight it looked like it was choking his sense of judgment. He greeted Leona with a forced smile that didn't touch his eyes. Miss Leona Brooks. Right. Step into my office. Now, let me tell you, Leona wasn't naive. Her mom, Renee, had taught her how to carry herself in places where she might not be welcomed. Speak clearly, maintain eye contact, be respectful, but never apologetic for simply being there. She followed those instructions like gospel. But from the moment she sat down, Marsh was looking at her like she was a walking question mark. She offered him her binder. He barely touched it. I run an online tutoring business, she explained. Here's my income records, all documented. You run a business at 14? Yes, sir. He leaned back, gave a tight chuckle. And do you have the actual cash with you? Leona blinked. No, it's all digital. I receive payments through Zelle and PayPal, then transfer it to a custodial account my mother set up. She could feel it, the shift. He wasn't listening anymore. He was waiting for a reason to say no. Marsh stood up, glanced toward the security desk. I'll be right back. Now here's where it gets dirty. Instead of coming back, he spoke with security, whispered something while pointing at her. Moments later, 2 guards flanked the office door like she was a suspect on Cops. Then, he opened the door and said, loud enough for everyone in the lobby to hear, Miss Brooks, there are serious concerns regarding the legitimacy of your documentation. Her hands shook. What do you mean? We've been informed of potential fraudulent activity. We'll need to take you in for further questioning. They handcuffed her. In public, in front of every customer. A 14-year-old black girl, in a blazer, being escorted like she was trying to rob the place with a calculator. She begged them to call her mother. Please, she said, tears in her eyes. She works for Global Equity Consortium, your parent company. Her name is Renee Brooks. The officer didn't flinch. You'll have your chance to speak at the station. But someone else was watching. Naomi Fields, a junior teller, 25, sharp eyes, sharper instincts, had been following every second of this mess. When she heard the name Renee Brooks, her fingers flew across her terminal. She didn't just search the customer system. She accessed the internal employee database, and what she found made her blood freeze. Renee Brooks wasn't just working at Global Equity Consortium. She was the CEO, the top. The woman whose face was only known to executives and board members because she chose to stay in the background, evaluating the bank's internal culture from a distance. Naomi didn't hesitate. She picked up her phone and made the call that would flip the entire day upside down. Back at headquarters, Renee was in a virtual board meeting when her private line buzzed twice in a row. She frowned. Only a few people had that number. She answered. "Ms. Brooks," Naomi whispered, "your daughter is being arrested at Bellington Trust. They don't know who she is, or who you are." Renee didn't speak. She didn't gasp. She simply ended the call, closed her laptop, and whispered to her assistant. "Call legal. Call security. Call the commissioner. We're going downtown." 28 minutes later, the police station doors burst open. She didn't storm in screaming. She glided in. All black suit, Louboutin heels clicking like hammers of judgment. Behind her, 3 attorneys, 1 security chief, and a media advisor already texting journalists. Every conversation in that room stopped. She walked straight to the officer at the front desk. "My name is Renee Brooks. My daughter Leona was brought here under false accusations." The officer stammered, "Yes, ma'am. I believe—" "You can believe this. She's going home now. And Gregory Marsh? I'll be addressing him at the branch shortly." Marsh, who had followed Leona to the station to finalize the report, turned chalk white. "I was just following protocol," he mumbled. Renee turned. "You mistook protocol for profiling." The officer returned with Leona, still cuffed. Renee looked her daughter in the eye, not with pity, but with pride, and said, "Let's go. We've got a meeting to attend." Back at the branch, staff had been assembled in the lobby, confused, nervous. Marsh stood at the front, trying to assert control. Then the doors opened, and in came Renee Brooks. She walked to the center of the room, looked everyone in the eye, and said, "Today, my daughter came here prepared, professional, ready to open a simple account. What she got was suspicion, humiliation, and discrimination." She nodded to her assistant, who played audio, Leona's secret recording. Marsh's voice, clear as day, casting doubt on whether she even earned that money. Murmurs rippled through the room. Then Naomi stepped forward. "I'd like to speak," she said. "I saw what happened. I watched him welcome a white customer with a smile while glaring at Leona like she was trespassing." More voices followed. One by one, employees shared what they'd witnessed. Marsh's track record of dismissing black clients, ignoring complaints, and manipulating reports. Marsh snapped, "This is a witch hunt. I've built this branch into the top performer in the region." Renee didn't flinch. "You built it on exclusion." She turned to security. "Escort Mr. Marsh out, effective immediately." As he was dragged out yelling about lawsuits, Renee looked around at the stunned employees. "We will no longer operate like this. If you can't treat every customer with dignity, you don't belong here." The next day, Leona's story exploded online. The video, the arrest, the CEO's arrival. It went viral, fast. News outlets picked it up. Protest signs appeared outside the branch. Banking while black shouldn't be a crime was trending worldwide. Renee launched sweeping reforms, mandatory anti-bias training, an equity office to investigate discrimination, and revised performance metrics that included ethics and inclusion. 3 months later, Leona returned to the branch, not as a customer, but as a guest speaker. The lobby had been redesigned, warmer, more open, posters showing diverse faces and messages of community empowerment. As she spoke to a group of teens about financial literacy, a girl approached her with wide eyes. "Are you the girl from the video?" Leona smiled. "Yeah, that's me. You're the reason I opened my first savings account." Later that day, Renee and Leona sat together on a bench outside the branch, watching customers come and go. Renee turned to her daughter. "You started something important." Leona shook her head. "We did." And just as they stood to leave, they passed a tour of bank executives from around the country, visiting to learn how to not screw up like Marsh did. Renee smirked. "Would you believe some of them tried to take credit for these reforms?" Leona laughed. "Of course they did. Success has many parents." They stepped into the car, doors closed, the world still buzzing behind them. Now, what do you think? Was justice served? Was it enough? Or is this just the beginning of something bigger? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell us where you see these patterns, where it needs to change. And if you've ever had to fight for a seat at a table that should have welcomed you from the start, yeah, we see you. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories that hit where it hurts and inspire where it matters.